Absolutely. Meanwhile, 4 minutes after the top of the hour, joining us right now is the founder and editor-in-chief of Wikileaks, Julian Assange. Julian, welcome to Fox and Friends.
Good morning. You have a really morning tone over there. It's midday here, so I'm going to try and adapt to how enthusiastic you guys are.
We got to wake everyone up, and it is a Friday. So thank you so much for joining us. So you're saying you have significant and unexpected material that you're going to release before this election. Can you give us a little taste of what is included?
No, not really. Sorry to disappoint you, but we have quite a lot of material in relation to the US election, thousands of pages relating to various aspects of the Hillary Clinton campaign and some other institutions. The publicity as a result of our DNC publications, which caused the top 5 Democratic officials in the Democratic Party to resign, including the President, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, has led to other sources being encouraged. And so they step forward. And hopefully that process will continue as we continue to publish and we can see a kind of cascade of information, hopefully also coming out about the Republican campaign. And then Americans and others can be better informed about who the new power figures are going to be in U.S. politics.
Julian, you just said the Republican campaign. Do you have information about Donald Trump?
We do have some information about the Republican campaign. I mean, from a point of view of an investigative journalist organization like Wikileaks, the problem with the Trump campaign is it's actually hard for us to publish much more controversial material than what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth every second day. That's a very strange reality for most of the media to be in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had Reince Priebus on radio yesterday, and he said this: I'm not happy about whatever happened to the DNC and all those groups. It's not right. And obviously, I'm not cheering for folks stealing private information from American entities. I'm not on board with that, whatever it means. So he watched his counterpart get fired and chaos ensue, and he's saying it's wrong. Why do you feel as though you have to insert yourself in the American process?
Well, look, WikiLeaks is a global media organization. We are funded by the public. We're not funded by dodgy foundations. We're not funded by dodgy advertisers. We're funded by the public, in fact, mostly the American public. In fact, we're tax deductible in the United States. You can go to wikileaks.org and hit the donate button. And that means we can publish more and we can publish faster. So, you know, there's other Australians that believe that the public have a right to know various senses. One of them owns your TV station, Rupert Murdoch.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Does WikiLeaks have a policy about publishing personal health records? Is there a possibility? We've heard a lot about various candidates' health this campaign. Is there a possibility, and I know you're being cagey about what you're going to tell us you're going to release, but do you have a policy against releasing somebody's personal medical information?
That's an interesting question in relation to a presidential candidate. I mean, we wouldn't bother in other circumstances where someone is a power figure, or there can be other cases. So in a criminal case, for example, where someone's been shot, maybe that forms part of it, where someone has died and there's a dispute over the will, for example, and a question as to whether someone has been murdered. Those can be part of it. But yes, if we received medical information about the presidential candidates, I think that would be of genuine interest.
Okay, well, then let us ask you, then, Julian, let's just be direct. Have you received information about Hillary Clinton's medical condition? Whatever it is.
I know you guys would love it if we scooped ourselves on Fox and Friends, but we're not going to. We have already published 32,000, more than that now, Hillary Clinton emails. You can search them on wikileaks.org, all of them. A lot of stories have come out about that. There are passing references to Hillary Clinton's head injury, which she called "I have a cracked head," to decision fatigue, to her looking up monadifil, which is also called Provigil in the United States, which is a sort of an alertness drug. It's not to say that she has some necessarily serious disorder. Anyone in a very high-stress job like military pilots might be taking this. But I think it is perfectly acceptable to reveal serious information about our presidential candidates. That's a long history in the media, in fact, that they should disclose themselves information that might affect their ability to do the job.
Julian, what is the most shocking thing that you have found out about Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think the most interesting and serious relate to upcoming publications we have, a variety of different types, but a lot of information that we have already published. I mean, it may not be that apparent to most people who are not sort of specializing in geopolitics or national security, but a major failure by the Trump campaign and the Bernie Sanders campaign. Hillary Clinton tried to run on her having judgment and experience in the State Department. Later on, those campaigns, too late in the process, in my view, started picking up that the experience was mostly a bad experience. So, for example, in Libya, we published 1,700 emails about her involvement in Libya. Now, Benghazi is just a small part of that, but she was the leading architect, the leading political force driving to destroy the Libyan state. And the Pentagon was pushing, senior generals in the Pentagon, not all of them, but a number, were pushing strongly that the Libyan state should not be destroyed because radical jihadi groups would move in and take it over, which they did. It's now a failed state, ISIS, etc.
Right.
And she was the leading cause of this. We published something from her emails called the Libya TikTok. That's her internal brag sheet of how she was the person behind the Libyan catastrophe. It was produced in late 2011, before it was that ISIS had moved in.
We got about 90 seconds. I'm going to come back and we have some viewer questions for you, Julian. We do thank you for joining us this morning. However, I do notice one thing. You don't say anything bad about the Russians. They gave you your own TV show at a Russian-controlled media. Have they intimidated you?
That's false. It's just false. It's false information. There's now a campaign underway because Hillary Clinton's camp and those who support her, for good reasons and bad, know that we have serious upcoming publications. So since the DailyMojo, there's been a campaign against Wikileaks because they're worried about an next publication. And we have a perfect record over a decade of having never got it wrong with what we publish. So they can't attack the substance. They can't attack the evidence we produce. They can't attack our analysis. So instead, they try and attack us through ad hominems. It is false. I have never had a job in Russia today, ever. I produced the independent show. 12 broadcasters bought it, including Russia Today, back in 2012. We have published 650,000 documents about Russia or Putin, most of them critical. More than 2.3 million about Syria and Bashar al-Assad, including Bashar al-Assad's personal emails. So this is just complete garbage.
Okay. All right. As we mentioned, Julian is sticking around to answer some of your questions. Email us, friends@foxnews.com, or you could tweet us. More from London in 2 minutes.